Today we will be starting with the data modeling in Salesforce. That means how the data is structured inside a Salesforce environment. What are the ways we can relate to each other, the data. So let's start with the first slide. So Salesforce database is a relational database. This is a place to store customer information in database object. So can anybody tell me like what is a relational database? Any idea on that? So relational database, you know about DBMS, it's database management system. It's
Yeah,
how
they are
the,
related to each other.
sorry,
The tables are related to each other.
yes. So basically the datas are organized in a tables, right? And those tables with rows and columns, and those tables are related to each other, maybe via some shared fields or keys, right? So that is what relational database is all about. So Salesforce database is mainly of that, and at the backend it is mostly using the Oracle database. On top of that, they have certain architectural designs, but in a broader way, it is the Oracle database that they're using. Okay. So that is about the database. Now, objects in Salesforce platform are represented. Okay, first of all, what is object, right? Let me first read this out, and then I will tell you. Objects in Salesforce platform are represented in a form of a table which is used to categorize the data and is similar to an entity in a database. There are mainly two types of objects, standard and custom. Okay. So first, what is object? So if you guys have seen the Excel sheet, we can give an analogy like this. Yeah, so let's say this is an Excel sheet, right? Let me zoom it. So in the down, you can see the tabs, right? Or else you can consider this part, right? So this can be considered as an object. And okay, let me create a table. Let's say this is a table. Okay, this whole table you can consider as an object, and this each column you can consider as a field. Okay, so let's say this is a field one, this is field two, this is field three, like that. Okay, and this row you can consider it as a record. So this is each record in Salesforce. So let's say, for example, we have an account object, right? Account object are like customers in Salesforce. So this table you can consider as an account object, and this account object will have certain number of fields, which you can think of it as in terms of the uh, columns, and the rows can be considered as the records, like account records. And what it is telling, it is there are two types of objects. One is standard objects and what is custom object. So what is standard object? Standard object is nothing but which are provided by default from Salesforce. So if you any of you have created the org, you will get to know that like once you log into that org, you will find there are certain objects which are already available. So let's say if I'm going to sales, service, anything, if I'm going to this place, you will see home, chatter, account, contact, cases. These are already available, right? That means these are by default provided by Salesforce. And whichever is by default provided by Salesforce, those are known as standard objects. And there is an option of creating objects from your end as well. Because might not suffice, right? You might have to, your business might require some different kind of objects to track the records. So you have to create a different object. And how do you create it? That we will get to know, but I will show you. But if you are creating from your own, those are known as custom objects. And if you are creating from a, like if it is by default present, those are standard objects. Now, and there is a way to differentiate between a custom and standard objects. What is that? So let's say account is a standard object, right? Account is a standard object which is provided by Salesforce. The API name. API name means the name of the field, name of the object, which is used during coding. So if you are doing some certain kind of coding, we will generally use the API name. That API name will be the name of the object, okay, like this. This one we will use it as a uh, during integration or something during coding. right? And if you have created a custom object, let's say test object, the name of the object you gave as test object. So this is a custom object you create. Now, the way to identify it would be to have the, like, this is the name test underscore object. Let's say this is the API name followed by underscore underscore C. So this C will define that it is a custom objects. Now let me show you in the org. Okay. So where we will go? We will go to setup. This is the place, gear icon, and then clicking on setup. Once you go there, this is object manager, right? So you have to go to object manager, and here whatever the objects which you are seeing, these are all standard objects. Why? Because as of now this is a fresh org and I haven't created anything on this. Okay. And if you see on the type, there also you can see it is the standard objects mentioned. Now let me open count. Okay. And in the details section you will see the API name. API name is account on, right? Now let me create an object for you. So what you will do, you will go to object manager, you will go to this create button on the, I will just zoom it in. You can see the create button on the top right, correct? So you have to click on this. Then there is an option how you want to create, whether you want to create it manually or from a spreadsheet. So for our training, we will use this normal one, custom object. Spreadsheet we will generally use if we use it if we have to create multiple objects at the same time. As of now, it's not needed. Okay. So once we click on that new button, right? So what are the fields which are coming? Label, plural label, object name, which is nothing but the API name. Okay, the object name is used when referencing the object via API. So API don't get confused as of now or intimidated by the term API, which we will discuss later on. But just think of it that this field will be used when we are doing the coding, whether it is integration or any other type of coding where we'll reference this object. Okay, so let's give one by one. So label will be, uh, I will just give the name as custom or else anything test object. I will give the name. Okay. This is the name of the object. The plural label means what you will see on the, so let's say this is the account, right? So if you see this is the account and this is the accounts is the plural name. So how you will define the plural name, that also you can give it. So generally what we will do is whatever the name we give, we will just put an S beside. That is done. Now starting with vowel sound, that is something not required, not at all that much important, because I haven't personally used any time during creation of the objects. This is if there is certain specific project wherein we are dealing with the maybe some kind of visually challenged, uh, like if we are building something which is for the visually challenged, maybe we will use sound as a preference at that point of time, but generally speaking it is not used. But it will basically create a vowel sound whenever there is one. Okay, if it starts with a vowel, it will create a sound like. Okay. Description you can give. It is always good to give a description whenever you're creating an object, and later point of time we will see whenever we are creating a field, you will see that there is a description field as well. Although it is not mandatory. Mandatory means how you will get to know this red color marks. Okay. Beside each field, you will see this red color marks. So whichever the red color marks is there, no, these are all mandatory. That means if you don't fill it out, if I just um, delete it, let's say I'm not filling it out and I'm clicking on save, it will throw an error that you must enter a value like that. Okay. So whatever the red color mark is there, that we need to fill it out. Now once this is done, description I will put as this object is. Now there are so once you provide the description, right, although it is not mandatory and it won't affect the functionality anyway, but it is always good to give a description in this. Why? Because let's say if you are going out of the project and if somebody else comes and works on the project, right? Again, I'm telling project from the perspective of whenever you are joining the company and they are assigning you a to create certain kind of application or functionality, that kind of project I'm talking about, right? So if you're doing that, and let's say you, or else you came into a project wherein you have to work on, you understood the functionality, now you have to work on those. So if you go to the objects, right, it is always better to know.
Uh, things, but I don't know why we are creating this. I mean, what is the use? What we are doing actually?
Yeah, we will get to know. So object, so see, first of all, if it's all about dealing with records, right? We have to first have a record in place to manage those records. So the name as it is customer relationship management, right? So we have to manage the records inside Salesforce. Salesforce is a platform to manage records, right? Based on the records, the functionalities and all will come into place, but the main core part is the records. So records, for before we create a record, we have to first understand how that record is stored in Salesforce. Okay, whether it is via a standard or custom objects, that we have to first understand. You're getting my point?
Okay. So
So once
we
we
are creating where in the some SQL or some database is there.
database we don't have to manage, that is provided by Salesforce. So why I told you about the database, it's a good to know like what type of database we are using, because later point of time it will be useful when you are designing or understanding the flow. Getting my point? So if
Okay,
you
it's
see
a
this
kind of
Hmm,
okay, it's a kind of Visual Basic where Access was connected with Visual Basic. So that is a automatic tool which is connected with the Salesforce you are talking about.
nothing is connected with Salesforce here. So let's say if you are going to this account, right? I will just give you an example. So let's say you are going to an account and you are creating a record. So before you creating a record, you need to have a place to create a record, right? If account is not there, account object is not there, how you will create a record? That is not possible, right? First we have to have a place where we have to create the record, and then we need to have fields. So if you, let's say if you are clicking on new button, this is the place where you will create a record. But once you click on new button, you will find the fields associated with it, right? There are so many fields associated with it. So you will create those, put on those information, customer information on these fields, and then save it, right? You're getting my
Okay,
point?
and we can also create the fields.
Yes, yes, I will come to that. So we are coming one by one. If you see the diagram, right? So see data modeling, it will not zoom in, but let like this. So if you see the diagram, right? So data modeling consists of three parts. One is objects, which we are talking about now. Second one is the relationship. Relationship means relationship between two objects, multiple objects, right? And
Hmm.
then schema builder we will come later point, but we will cover this three as well. And inside object, if you see, there are fields and records. So first object creation we are looking now, then we will look into fields, how it is created, and once fields are done we can see how records are created. Got it? So we are going stage by stage, and once we have all this data modeling in place, which is the core of Salesforce, you will be able to create records. And this is all about creating records only, right? So if you can think of any type of organization which deals with customers, their database data of the customer is the most important one, right? Any company, whether it is an insurance company or any service provider like Airtel, Vodafone, anything like that, so their main core base is the customers on, right? So how to manage those customer data is the platform which Salesforce provides, and
Hmm.
for that object is the important one. Now you got my point,
Yeah.
why we are
No.
creating. Yeah. So because
Sorry, I got
standard objects,
disconnected, so I was just broken, so I did not get
no,
the
no,
point.
no problem. You just clarify whatever. I'm there. I'm here only. No. So if you are not understanding anything, let me know. I will clarify. That is good
Thank you.
actually. I encourage. Yeah. Okay. So where are we? Okay. So first we are creating objects. Now why we are creating objects? Because see, Salesforce provides some standard objects, but it is not sufficient every time to use those standard objects, right? Because let's say if we have a business use case where we have to gather the um, insurance details, right? So as a standard object, it does not provide any tag for insurance, right? It provides tabs for customers, maybe contacts, like that it can provide, but not for insurance. So for that purpose, we will create objects and then track those records in that. Fine. So yeah, label we are providing the name of the object basically. Plural label is the how those records will be like in plural terms, how it will be, right? Second, third will be object name. Object name is the name which we will use for coding purpose. And then after that, you see here there are two option data type. Enter record name, label, and format. What is this, right? So there are two options. One is text, one is auto number. So if I go to account, right? I'm just giving an example. If I go to account, click on new button, you can see here account name is coming, which is mandatory. The star marks, right? This is required. This means it is required. Whether either it will be like a green color like dash symbol, like how it is here, or it will be like a mandatory field star mark. So here it is a mandatory one. So let's say if I'm giving the name of the account and saving it, this is the way to identify this account. Okay. So this account name is test account like this. Now, if you go to case, this is another standard object. Case is nothing but is mainly used in. So this we are seeing in Service Cloud, right? So cases are like tickets where you track the ticket information, the issue information. So here, if you click on new, you cannot see there is a like this case number is the mandatory field, but it is not something which you can provide. This is a read only, right? So if I'm just giving, I'm not filling any details because this is already filled with some details, the mandatory part. I'm just saving it. Okay. Case origin I have to provide. So let's say I'm just giving the random values. Don't think about this, what is the utilization of this and all. I will come back to this Service Cloud at the end of the like once we are dealing with the admin partner. At the end, we will cover sales and service over. Okay. So once this is done, I will click on save. Now if you see this case number got generated, right? 0001026 like that. So there are two options. Whenever you are creating a custom objects, one field has to be mandatory, right? That is how it will identify that object. I mean record. Okay. So that can be either text or auto number. If you are giving text, that is fine. The name of the field you just have to provide, right? So here, like in account, it is the name is account name. If you go to object manager, if I go to account and if I go to this first place, fields here. So if you see account name is the name which is provided. Okay. Similarly, the one which we have provided, which we have created the object, custom object. Oh, we haven't provided. No, I just came back. Sorry. Custom object, stop. Just like this object is here. If I give auto number, I have to give the format in which, first of all, field name is fine. Field name is something which you have to give, right? So we can give it as number just to make sense out of it, right? And display format. So what type of format you want to give? Whenever you're creating a record, like in case we have created, right? The format is 10, like this is the number, this is the whole number followed by uh, yeah, this is just the number, right? So what we will do, we will use something like this test object. I'm just initializing. You can give any name, right? This is just the format how it will be. And if you see on the right hand side, there is an example also how you have to make this. So let's say I'm giving 5 zeros, 5 placeholders I'm giving, okay? And starting with number, I'm giving it as 1. Okay. So this is auto number. There are two ways to create the standard mandatory field. One is text, one is auto number. If you are selecting auto number, you have to select the format in which the number will be generated and what number it will start. Once this is done, you have the option of adding this object, adding the records of these objects into reports, activities, field history tracking. So what are these reports? we will come back later on, but it's just like a normal report. If you have used reports in Excel and all, this is similar to that. So if you want the records of this object to be included in any report, you have to check this out. Okay, it's not mandatory to do it now. It can be done later point of time as well. Okay, but for now, I'm just keeping it by default. Activities also we will come back later. It's about the creating, like if you are setting any reminder for that object, right? So that can be tracked on an activity. If you're sending an email, that can be considered as an activity. So if you want those activities to be done on this records of this object, you need to check this out. Field history is also, we will come back. So it's basically how, if you're tracking the values which are changing for the field, you have to check this out, whether this option will be available or not. Okay. Chatter groups, let's keep it like this. And by default, all our whatever is checked, let's keep it like this. Okay, we will not go deep into this because these are something optional features and object classification. So this streaming API, bulk API, sharing, these are all something which we will learn later point of time. But let's keep whatever it is by default. The main point to note here is the auto number field, whether to be the auto number text and yeah, this part. Okay, level name and all. Okay,
So
now
auto
once
number
that is
we
done,
can sorry for interrupt. In auto number we can also give the character like display format is A B A B B kind of, and starting number is like that. We
anything,
can give this also.
means
Yes,
number
okay.
like this you're telling, no?
Yeah, the starting will be, I mean, the number start from A B and then number
No, no,
001.
it will be a number only because number has to be there. No? It's a starting number. So AB, if you give starting number, so you are telling, I understood your point. So you are telling that if starting number you give it as A, like that, right? A1,
No, no,
something
no,
like
no, no. In the format, there should be A in the
that.
starting, like you mentioned that 0000. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh,
A
I
zero
mean,
zero
in
zero
place of,
like this,
yeah, in place of this here, can we do
like
this
this.
also?
Generally, we will give number format only, but let's see. We can see this also. Okay. Starting number
Uh,
we will give it as,
this
yeah,
side, Ankur. Can we add the date or year here?
date or year. No, I mean you cannot add it here because it will not make sense. It will be automatically generating the numbers, right? So if you are adding a date here, you cannot do it directly. There
No,
is a
if
separate. Hmm.
some customer required the whole year auto generate number is sequence different like that.
Mm, year wise auto number, I have to check. I never used it, so I will check it out if that is possible or not.
Okay, and one
Okay.
more doubt. Objects means the screens or master, correct?
Yes, it's like an Excel sheet. The tables are object.
Okay, tables means object. It's not like
Yes.
the master or any extra or additional screen creation.
No, no, no. Simple. It's a table. If your table, whatever table you have, that is an object. You can
Oh,
analyze like
got it, got it.
that. Okay.
Thank
So your question is whether auto number can include date, correct?
you. Yes, yes,
I will have a look.
sure.
Fine. Okay. So once this is done, you will see the deployment status. What is deployment status? There are two options, development or deploy. Deployed if you're doing no. So let's say if you're working on these objects and you are not particularly sure on um, some of the details, whatever you have provided. So at that point of time, you will make it as in development. That means it will not be accessible to other users that you are working on currently. Whether the fields, whatever you are creating on these objects or any other things, whatever is related to this object you are creating, if you are putting it as in development, that means it will not be available to other users. If it is deployed, that means it will be available. Okay, so for now I'm keeping it as deployed. And then search status, if you want the records of this object to be searched, so here there is a search bar, right? In top there is a search bar. So if this is one place, there are some other places as well. But if you want to search the records on this org, then you have to click on allow search. Okay. So if you see here, when this setting is enabled, your users can find records of this object type when they search. Okay, if you uncheck it, even if you give the name of that record or something like that, it will not show up. Right? Then object creation option available only when custom object is first created. So whether you want to add notes and attachment, this is one of the list which is there. Launch custom tab wizard. So what is this? We will come back later point of time, but for now let's keep it unchecked. Okay. Okay, so these are all done. I will click on save. What is the invalid data? Where invalid data? Okay. So your one of your question was whether we can include, right? So we cannot include it. It has to be a number. Okay. An error thrown.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
How is it? Okay. So this is done. Now if you see the API name, this is what I was talking about. Underscore underscore C. Whatever the object name you are giving, followed by underscore underscore C will be there. Because this is the way you can understand whether it is something provided by Salesforce or whether it is something created. Okay. That. So this is done. Standard object, custom object. Any questions on this? Standard object and custom object. Next, we will go with fields. Oh, sorry, tabs and tabs. No, right?
See, if I want to create some transaction screen, so can we
Hmm.
create here?
Transaction screens like a wizard you are talking about, like one step to another step like that.
No, see, suppose the first inquiry, quotation, and sales order, this is the flow, correct? If
Hmm.
a such customer required one more screen for before the quotation, like estimation, so
Hmm.
can we?
Yeah, we can do that. That is a separate functionality. We can do that. So this is now we are just concentrating on creating the tables, if you think like in that term.
Oh,
After that, there will be you are telling like quotation, then invoice and all those things, right? So those are separate tables which will hold their own values. Now, whenever like what you're telling is once this is done, next step should be the other screen, right? After that, the third screen. So
correct.
that is also possible. That is possible using point and click only. That means no code is required. But that is a separate functionality which we will come later point of. Right now we are just concentrating on understanding how data are or records are modeled into Salesforce, how it is structured in Salesforce. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. So this is object. After that, after object, there is apps and tabs. What is an app? App is like a container for a specific set of functionalities and data. So that means app will be nothing but a folder. Okay. So let's say if what Salesforce has provided here, service. So service is an app. Okay. And it will have all the objects and fields. Fields we haven't come across as of now, but objects and fields related to this functionality itself. So service is service app or service folder is created with a specific functionality in mind, right? Like it will deal with the tickets, it will deal with the services of the once the product is already live and it's used by the customers. What type of how to organize the services the customers, how to organize the services for the customers will be managed by this app. So this is like a container and it will have all the objects associated with it, related objects. Okay. This can be customized. This we can do it. What objects is needed and all that we can do it. But this is the main gist out of it. Okay. So app is like a container for a specific set of functionalities and data. And tabs are the individual sections or modules within a Salesforce app. So these are tabs. These are called as tabs. Home tab, chatter tab, account tab, contact tab. These are all tabs. Okay. Now, if you remember when we created this test object, right? There is no way for us to access this object. If a user wants to create an object, if a user wants to create a record on this object, how they will create it? There is no way, right? If I just have a look into the app, any app for that matter, there is no way I'm seeing the test object, right? So in order to get it accessible to the user, you need to associate a tab to this object. Okay. How you will create the tab? First of all, we can create it via here. If you are creating an object first time, this as of now it will not come. Yeah, it will not. So you remember at the end there was a auto launch wizard. If I just go to any, if you see at the bottom right, launch new custom tab wizard after saving this object. So it will automatically navigate you to that tab section to map it with the object. So let's say for our case, we haven't created a tab, right? So what we will do, we will go to this home screen. We will just search in tabs. You will find its tab name, right? User under user interface, tab is there. You have to click on this tab, and then for us it is custom object tabs, right? There are multiple tabs associated, multiple ways to create a tab, for whether it will be for an object or whether it will be for some code we have written. Visual Force, Lightning component, Lightning page. Lightning page is something which we will see later point, but Lightning component and Visual Force, these are all coding part. These are all codes, pages written on code. So we can associate that page as well on a tab like that. For now, let's keep it for custom objects, whatever we have created. So you go to custom objects tab, you click on new. Okay. Once you click on new, you will have the option of this tab will be associated with which option. That option you will have, right? And here it will only show you the objects where tab is not created. Okay. So for account and all, the tabs are already created. For this test object, it is not created. So I will just click on this test objects. Tab style. What is tab style? So if you go to any tab, right, you will see the color of the tab. It is like a kind of a bluish here, account, right? Contact is also same. See, cases is like an oranges, right? So the way of the color of the tabs will be certainly determined by the style of it. So what is the style? If you click on this lookup icon, you have this many options, right? You can choose any one. This is not something, if business does not specify what type of color is used or not, it's fine, we can use any one. Please understand all these things because I will be providing you an assignment based on this. So once this is done, this is not required. Splash page custom link is not required. Again, short description. Why this object? Why this tab is used, right? Or what is the purpose of creating this tab? This is always good to give. This tab is now this is one. Click on next. This let's keep it as it is, whatever it is. We will come back to this later. What is profiles and all. Click on next. This also you keep it as it is. These are all whatever apps which are provided in Salesforce. Okay, I'm just adding this particular tab to all the apps for now. You have the option of unchecking it and just adding it to the one tab which you want or two tabs, whatever. For now, whatever the default, I'm just keeping it as it is. And at the end, I'm checking this box. This is by default checked, so I'm keeping it like this. What is this? Append tab to users existing personal customization. That means this is the way it is being shown, right? So if I just check this and save it, it will come at the last after reports and dashboard. So let's say I'm saving it. So once this is saved, I will just refresh this page. You see at the end, test object is created. Now, as an end user, we have an option of accessing the records of this object, test object, using the tab. Otherwise, we were not having any option as of now, right? So if I go to test object, you see here the color with whatever I have selected is coming here. It's not mandatory. I mean, it's not something which is very important. It's just good to know where this color is used and all. Okay. Now, if you click on new button, you see there are no fields, right? There is no field, only the auto number field which I have created. There is no input where, right? So if I click on save now, you see the format which is generated is based on whatever I have provided. D0 and followed by starting number is 1. Similarly, it will go on like 2, 3, and the format will remain the same. Okay. So this is about tab. So what it is written here, tabs are the individual sections or modules within a Salesforce app. Tabs can represent different things, as we saw, right? Object, reports and dashboards are also kind of an object which we can use, which we will also see later point of time. But these are also, if you see here, here reports and dashboards, right? So these are also there. And then our custom functionalities. Custom functionalities means if you are coding something and if you want to show that on the or as a tab, that also you can do. Each app typically contains a set of tabs, objects, and related features that are tailored to a particular role or function within your organization. So this is what I told you. So app, whenever you're creating an app and a tab associated with it, so this will be related, working together to fulfill one particular um, functionality, right? So that is what it is all about. Okay. Now coming to fields in Salesforce. So we have created objects. We have created, first what we created object, right? Second, what we created apps, and then we have created tabs which will showcase the objects, a way to access the object. Now we will go with fields. So objects, if we don't create field, that is of no use, right? Even if you see that if I just click on new, there is no way, nothing to input here. So we need fields for this, right? So fields are like labeled containers that hold specific piece of information. Each field is associated with a particular type of data, like whether this will be a number field, a text field, a pick list field. So it will be a field, it will have a type associated with it. And we will see what type, what all the types which are provided by Salesforce. Now, Salesforce offers various types of fields to accommodate different types of data. On a broader level, there are mainly two categories. Similar to objects, here also we have custom fields and standard fields. Standard fields which are automatically provided by Salesforce, like if I go to this object, if I open our object test, I open this, you see in the fields, these all are provided. Now you might say that this is, how can this be a standard field? This is something which we have created, right? But it's not like that. So once we are creating an object, the first field, whatever we are using, that has to be a standard field because it is the option provided by Salesforce, and we are just utilizing that option to select whether it will be a number, auto number, or a text field. But at the end of the day, it is something which we need to create, and Salesforce provides it. So this is also a standard field. Okay. Apart from this field, what we have, owner field, that means who created that object, I mean who created the record, that will be tracked by this owner field. These are specifically users in Salesforce. Okay. Last modified by, who modified that record, created by. So these are all some provided by Salesforce, and these are um, the created by and last modified by, these are like auto generated. We don't have option of inputting this part. Okay. Now once this is done, if I click on this new button, you see the data types. I was talking about the data types, right? So there are so many types, like auto number. We can create another auto number field. We can create formula field, lookup, master detail. We will come each one of them later point of, like after this slide. Checkbox field, currency, date, time, email field, right? Percentage. So just have a look into this. Once you have created the org, just have a look into the type which is provided. Okay. And if we are creating any field, right, that will be a custom field because we are creating from our own based on our business. So once this is done, fields are done. Now, what is a global? We will come to fields. Okay, we have the relationships and all. We will come to the fields. We will see the use cases and the specific types of data types for those fields. We will come to that, but before that, we have to understand what is a global pick list. So there is one concept of global pick list, right? Just come here again. So here, if you see, there is a pick list option. This pick list option or multi-select pick list is there, and there is an option for global pick list. So global pick list, as the name suggests, this type of do you know what is a pick list? Pick list, I will show you. In accounts, if you go, type type is a pick list field. Why? How come it is a pick list field? If you see, we have to pick the records or the field values from a predefined set of values here, right? So this type of data type is called as pick list. Okay, this is called as auto number. This is a number field. This is a website. Website cannot be like normal. If you give test and if you try to save it, it will not let you save it because this is, oh, it allows you to save it. Okay, generally we will keep a format associated with it. But if you see, it will be considered as a hyperlink. It will not be like if I'm giving a rating also. If I'm giving this account name, right, this is not a hyperlink. But if in website, it will be considered as a hyperlink. So generally what we will do, we will just give it as www. The website name, whatever we have, we will give like this. So that once the user goes here and clicks on it, it will automatically open that URL. Okay. So this is done. So global pick lists are a way to maintain consistent list of values that can be reused across different fields and objects. Okay. So that means, so pick list is here. We can have the pick list fields created, but the values associated with it, we can either create it whenever we are creating the pick list, or we can do globally. Globally, we will see first, and then we will go with the one which we are creating locally. Okay. So for creating a global pick list, what we have to do, pick list values, not the pick list field. What we have to do, we have to just search pick list. You will find pick list value sets. Click on it, and then you can click on new and give the name. It's similar to how we give the name. It will be for identification purpose. Okay? The label, the name, the description, all will be for the identification purpose, and then the values. So I have created already a pick list field here. So if you see here, I have created a country pick list. Okay? So country and description I have given, this value holds countries from Asia. Now if I save it, you will see these are the values. India, Pakistan. How I provided this? I provided this like this. That's a countries of USA, something like this, right? So here you can give description as USA. Values you can provide anything. First one, like anything in the sense which is makes sense for this. Let's say I'm giving it as a last, then California, sorry, these are states. I will give it as states. States of course. California, then something like this. So if you have to create the values, you have to give it separated by a line. Okay, you have to click on enter, and that way it will be considered as a different set of values. Got it now? So this way we will have to create, and then once that is done, we will just click on save button. Okay. So for now, I'm just giving two, clicking on save button. So if you see, these two values are created. Now, how you will utilize this? You will, let's say you are going to the object manager, you are going to the test object. Okay. Fields and relationships. You click on new button. Let's say if I'm selecting a pick list data type, okay, and I'm clicking on next. Here, same way we have to give the name. Okay, so let's say countries. I'm giving the name as countries. Now here is the option. You see, Either we can enter values directly here, like how we did in the global pick list, we can enter it. So it will be localized to this particular field only. Okay, we can give it as just um, something India, Sri Lanka, something like this, right? We can give the values here, or we can use the global pick list. You just select this global pick list, and these are the options which comes, right? So we will select country, and then we will click on next. So apart from this, there are few other fields here. If you see description, again it is same thing for everything, every place. So I'm not going here again, I'm not describing it again. Help text. What is a help text? Help text is something which will help the end user to understand what type of data is being used here, right? So I don't know whether it is provided here or not. Okay, while we are creating, let's create a help text. Please select country of your birth. So this will be a help text. Where it will show, we will see. We will see it. Okay. Formula editor, let's keep it for now. We will keep it as it is. We will keep it blank. This is the default value which comes, but for now we will keep it as blank. And whether you want this to be added to the reports or not, this is just to check that box. Okay. And whether you want this field to be required when user enters the value, that is also you can check and uncheck based on the requirement. For now, I'm not making it as required field, but you can make it if by checking this box. Okay. Now I will click on next button. This one we will keep it as it is. We will come back later on that. This one also same. I will just click on save. So once this is done, you see the field name is with ending with underscore underscore C. Okay. And if I go to the object here, now if I click on new, okay, it is not added. It is not. Let me refresh this page. Not added. Just a minute. Has to be added. Why it is not added. Okay. It took some time to come. Fine. So if you see one field came here, country which we have created, and these are the pick list values. Now, if you remember, these values we haven't provided here. We just provided the name, right? We just provided the name and assigned the global pick list value to it. So generally speaking, why global pick lists are used? Global pick lists are used, first of all, it is for reusability purpose. You create the value set at one place and utilize it in different objects. It is not tied to one particular object, right? If we are creating the pick list field and giving the values here itself, then it will be tied to that particular object on, right? We can, if we create a different object, or if we go to a different object and try to utilize the value, we won't be able to do it until and unless the global pick list values are having that. Okay. So the custom pick
It
list
has
is
a
right.
multiple, Ishan, it has a multiple selection also in the pick list.
Yes, let's see that. Let us create one multi-select pick list. If I click
Okay.
on next, I will give it as select multiple countries. Here also, if you see, same option, right? So I will select countries. Visible lines. Visible lines means how many number of lines you want to be visible. I will show you. So now let's say there are, I will give it as 2. Okay. Instead of 4, I will give it as 2. Field name is same as discussed earlier. It will be used during coding and all. Please select birth and work country. This is the help text. I'm keeping all the things as it is. What is it? Number of visible lines must be greater than or equal to 3. Okay, so 2 I have provided, that is not correct. Fine. I will click on next. Next. Save. Okay, so this is done. Now, if I just click on refresh this page, click on new, take some time to reflect it here on the page. Let's wait for 1 minute. Or else if I open this, yeah, here it came. Okay, so here if you see, if I click on edit, same thing, right? So here we are getting it as a pick list value. And if you are giving it for a multi-select pick list, you will just select 1, 2, and just add it to using this adder button. You will add it on the chosen column. So that way it will be visible. Okay. And help text, what I was talking about. See, there is a I icon beside the country, right? And if you hover over that I icon, the value or the sentence, whatever we have provided, will be visible, right? Please select a
Yeah.
country of
Okay.
the birth. For multiple countries, it will be like this select. So this is not required, but it is good to have so that user provides the details the based on what you want it to be, right? So if you are not giving a help text and if this country field is used to track the birth country, then user will not know, right? They will simply select a country, let's say where they're residing now, something like that. So it's good to have to maintain the data consistency. Okay. So we will have this, and once we save it, okay, it will be looking something like this. So for the pick list, it will anyhow show the value, and for multi-select pick list, it will show it followed by a semicolon. Semicolon will differentiate between those. So this is about global pick list. Global pick list are a way to maintain consistent list of values that can be reused across different fields and objects. What is a field dependency? Field dependency is, let's say I have created these two fields, right? Now, okay, one thing to note here. So the pick list values, whatever we have created, no, the modification of those pick list value can only be done by an admin. Admin means who has all the privilege. Let's consider it like a user who has all the privilege for this order. They will be able to do it. Okay. And second point to remember is if we are using global pick list and later point of time, let's say we think we are thinking like, okay, we don't want the global pick list for this country, but I want to use state of USA. This pick list I want to use. So can we do it? Can we go to this object and just replace it? Let's see. Go to this, sorry. If you go to that particular field, so you have to always, if you are editing or doing anything on that on an object, right? So you have to go to object manager, then go to that objects, and there you will find the field details. Okay. So once you go here, and what we were using countries. Now if I click on edit, you see there is no option for us to change that particular global pick list value, right? We don't have the option. Even at down, we have the option here, but we have only view. There is no add, delete button like here, right? So what does it signify? It signifies that if you are using a global pick list value, and if you want to change it at a later point of time to any other different values, you cannot simply replace it. What you have to do, you have to either, there is only one option, you have to delete this field, you have to create a new field and use a different, replace it with the global value. Okay, so there is no way of replacing it. you have to delete and create a new field for that. And just to understand the limitation of this field values, so there can be around 1,000 field values. So if you go here, right, go to this pick list value set. If you click on new, here it is not coming. Open my- Yeah. So here, if you see active and inactive pick list values, maximum is how many? 1,000. You can give 1,000 field values here, not more than that. Okay. And up to 500 pick list global values sets can be created in an org. So here we have created two, right? So generally it will be up to 500 field values we can create. So these are something you need to know just to have an understanding of what is the limitation. Okay. Although we will not reach that many levels, but it is always good to know to have. Okay, fine. Now coming to the field dependencies. Field dependencies allows users to change the content of a pick list field based on another field. Okay. So let's say if I am having two pick list values, um, let's say, okay, I will create, or I will keep these two only as it is. Okay. So based on the value, whatever this will not make sense because both are countries we are using. If you are okay, let's create one more. Okay, let's create one more and then we will see what makes sense and not. So we will go to this test object fields. We will create another pick list field known as states. Where is it? No, pick list field. Let's say states. I'm giving it as states. Okay. And I'm giving the values as, let's say, I will not use global. I will just put it here. States, I'm giving it, let's say Delhi. I'm giving it as Lahore. I'm giving it as Colombo, something like this, right? And let's save it. Let's save it as it is. Now, if I want to show the states only related to that particular country, which is I'm selecting, then we have to use field dependency. For those use cases, we will use field dependencies. Okay. So if I click on field dependency, how you create a field dependency? Same thing. You have to go to this field section. You click on field dependencies. You click on this, then click on new. Okay. Now here you have the option of selecting the controlling and dependent field. Which field will control the values? Okay, so I'm selecting countries and dependent field I'm selecting as states. Now I'm clicking on continue. Once I'm doing that, this place it comes out, right? So for India, you just have to select it like this, right? It will get highlighted. If you want to select multiple values, you just have to click on control and then select the values like this. So I'm selecting it for India, I'm selecting Delhi. For Pakistan, I'm selecting Lahore. For Sri Lanka, Colombo. For Bangladesh and China, I'm not selecting anything. I'm keeping it as it is. And I'm clicking on include values. Okay, so once you do that, you see this is bold, right? And you can see preview. You can click on preview to see how it looks. So if I click on preview, you see now the state is grayed out. So you see now the state is grayed out. But for countries, if I select India, you see only Delhi is coming, not the other two field values, right? If I select Pakistan, only Lahore is coming. If I select Sri Lanka, only Colombo is coming. If I select Bangladesh, nothing is coming because we haven't mapped anything. So this is what is a pick list dependent values. Okay? Dependent, I mean, in terms of having the field dependencies. This is what is about field dependencies. Now, few points to remember again in field dependencies is the controlling field. Okay, the controlling field means in our test country can be a custom pick list. Okay, custom pick list values can be a controlling as well as a dependent one. Okay, but a standard pick list, let's say standard pick list means what? Let's say this is an account, right? An account, if we go to an account, type is a pick list which is coming by default. We haven't created it, it is coming by default, right? So if I'm going to account, and if I click on fields and relationships, click on field dependencies, same way. Now controlling field, you will see type is there, right? But if you go to dependent, you will not see the standard. So there are this many standard pick list field which are on account, right? And there are these 4 custom fields which are provided, which we have created. So in dependent field, we will only see the custom one. So what does this signify? Custom pick list can be both controlling and dependent. Standard pick list can only be controlling. Okay. And the default value. So when we are creating a pick list, right, we can set the default value associated with it. So let's say if I'm going to the same test object, going to this field dependencies, let me see the countries one. So here if you see there is a default column. Here it will come, otherwise it will come when you are creating the pick list. Okay. So here if you are giving, you see here, use first value as default value. So whatever first value you provide here, that will be considered as a default value. So if you're creating a default value, let's say for both pick list you have default values. In our example, country and state. Let's say I have created countries, I have created state pick list values, and both I have given certain default value associated with it. But whenever you are using it as a dependent pick list, any one of those pick list, if you are using it as a dependent, that cannot be have a default value, because that will nullify the purpose, right? If you think logically also, if we have a default value for a dependent pick list, that needs to be default based on the countries or the controlling field, right? So that is not possible using this particular point in. So for that we will just, I mean, as Salesforce out of the box functionality, that means by default what Salesforce provides, there will not be a default value associated with a dependent pick list. Now, fourth point is what? Multi-select pick list can be dependent, but it cannot be controlling. So in our case, we have a multi-select pick list, right? This one. So it can be a dependent pick list. If you select, it can be a dependent one, but it cannot be a controlling one. Okay, it can only be a dependent pick list. Right? And what else? Okay. You can also select checkbox as a controlling field. Okay. Based on the checkbox, you can make fields visible, make the other field visible and all. Like let's say this one, multiple countries. I want to show this only when the checkbox is checked. Like that. So you can make that as well. But checkbox anyhow cannot be a dependent, because checkbox is just a it's just a checkbox, right? So it cannot be dependent on any particular field. That cannot be a dependent value. Okay. So any questions on the pick list part? Global pick list and field dependencies or normal pick list. Any questions? I will share again. I will share the notes. Whatever I am talking now, I will share that. But any questions as of now? No? Okay. You guys have my email address if you want. If you have any questions later point of time, once you are, doing some R&Ds on your local org, you are free to ask. Okay. Now coming to the relationship, this is one of the most important part, because Salesforce is based on relational database, right? And one object cannot fulfill all the requirements of a business. They need to interact with each other. And the way to interact with different objects is something called as relationship. Okay? It is a way of connecting and associating records between different objects your Salesforce database. Okay. So how many types of relationships are there? There is lookup, there is master detail. What are those? I will come back, but for now, just understand the names at least. Lookup, master detail, many to many, self relationship, hierarchical relationship, external relationship. So what is a lookup relationship? So if you go to the object, right, first of all, let me go to fields and relationship, click on new, and yeah, if you click on new and you see here, there you will find only lookup and master detail and external lookup, but you will not find this many to many, self relationship, hierarchical relationship, right? Even for external relationship, you will only find external lookup relationship. So why is it? What is the like? So how we will create this type of relationship? We will come back to this later. But once we are on a field type level, there are only three types: lookup, master data, and external. Once we go once we see each of this relationship, you will understand. So let's go one by one. Lookup relationship. What is lookup relationship? Lookup relationship is a loosely coupled relationship allowing you to connect one object to another in a one-to-many fashion. In this example, if you see, this is known as schema diagram. We will again come back to this later, but for now, just understand this picture. What you are seeing is called a schema diagram, and we can manage the object relationship using the schema diagram as well, or we can understand as well. Okay? So here there are two objects. One is case, one is asset. And if you see here, the asset is connected to case using three lines, right? At the end, if you see, there are three lines. That means multiple asset can be associated with a single case, right? So that way, that is something which is known as lookup relationship. It is a loosely based. What is loosely based means? That means if we delete the case record, let's say I have created a relationship between an asset record and a case record. Now, if we are deleting that particular case record, okay, few points to remember here. Just write it. So in our example, we have case and we have asset, right? And multiple assets can be connected to a single case record. This is known as sorry, single records. Okay. This is known as many one-to-many relationship. One record of case can connect to multiple assets. Okay. And this record, whatever is there, this is in Salesforce, this is known as parent or master. And the one which is connecting multiple times, multiple records which are connecting to the case, that is known as what it is known as child. If it is a master, this will be called as a child or detail. Let us see with an example here. Okay. So again, if you go to the field relationship, we select lookup relationships, click on next. You have to select. So I'm creating a relationship between uh, my custom object which I have created and let's say account. Okay, let's say account. So we have to select what it needs to be, which object. Whatever we are selecting here as an object, no, this object account will be the master or parent to the sorry to this custom object. So just remember, wherever you are creating a relationship, on whichever object you are creating the relationship, that records of that object becomes the child, and with the object which you are creating, that becomes the parent. Okay? The place where you are creating the relationship, that will be child. So here account I am selecting, clicking on next. Same thing. After this, it is same. Help text and all. Child relationship name, we will come back to this. That's it. I'm giving this as name as EOS. Required field, I'm not keeping it. Lookup filter, we will come back later. For now, you can ignore. What to do if the lookup record is deleted? Lookup record is deleted. We'll clear the values. Let's say we are clearing the value and don't allow deletion of the lookup record that's part of a lookup. We can also select this, but by default lookup is a loosely coupled. That means if the parent record is deleted, the child record still remains in the system. Okay, now I'm clicking on next. This one you can ignore for now. Next, related list label, save. Related list label, I have given it as test object. Okay, now once this is done, let us see. Now you see, yeah, this one account got created, right? We have given the name as account. Now if you click on hover over this, you will find it as a magnifying glass, right? Here you can select all the accounts which are there as of now. On a higher level, I will just tell you what is the lookup filter do. Lookup filter will restrict the records whatever is coming based on certain filter condition. Okay. So if you give certain filter condition, only those records will be visible here. So this is visible because we have recently opened this. There are other accounts as well, right? So let's say there is an account called GenPoint. Okay. So if I give you a GenPoint, selecting it and saving it, right? So now this is a lookup relationship. Now if I delete this record, if I go here and delete this record, your attempt to delete could not be complete because it is associated. Okay, this is associated with the case. Okay, so that is why it is not letting it delete. Let me choose another one. Test one I have created, no? So let me use that. Because that is not related to any cases or something. Test account. I will save it. Now if I go to the test account here and I will just delete it. Okay, you just click on this button. There is a delete option. You delete it. Once this is deleted, you go here and you refresh this page. You see the records still exist. Records still exist, but the field become blank, right? So by default, this is the behavior of a lookup relationship. For master detail, what is the difference? Master detail is also same as this one, but the only difference is if you are deleting the account, right, which in our case is the master, if you are deleting that, this record will also get deleted automatically, right? So you can think of it in terms of, let's say, whenever you go to any shopping, right, you will have items associated. So once you have the items associated and you have an invoice associated with it, right? So items and invoice are related to each other. Now, if you are deleting an item from that particular object, it is like the invoice generation is not needed, right? For that, I mean, anyhow, you don't need a blank invoice if you're deleting the object or the items. So those kind of relationship you can consider it as a master data relationship. So both are relationships, same thing, but one is loosely coupled, another one is tightly coupled. Okay, loosely coupled means if you are deleting the parent record, the child records will get automatically, means it will be kept as it is. But if you are doing it for a master detail, which is tightly coupled, there the child record will also get deleted. That is one part. Second part is what? So I'm not creating the master detail as of now. I want you guys to create it. Just play around with it. It is the same structure, nothing different in that. If you select master detail, you click on next. It will have the same behavior related to like how I did for lookup, right? Similarly, you have to give the name and all. Now there is child relationship name. This name will be utilized when we are querying the database. That we will see when we are doing the development part, we will see it. But child relationship name will be utilized when we are doing a query on the database. From this test object to the parent object. Like that. And that this name you can also find. Where it is. this name you can also find if you go to that lookup field. No? It's a lookup field, yeah. This lookup field, if you go here, you will find the child relationship name. This is specifically used during query. Otherwise, it is not that much used. Okay, that is one part. Second part is what? Second part is if I go to, I was creating master data related to the these all are same child relationship name I told you. Then click on next. Okay, so this has to be unique because this will be used during coding, right? So coding part needs to be unique. Now, if you see here, these are all this we cannot change, right? This we cannot change it here. Why it is so? Because in a master detail relationship, one of the other characteristics is the parent, whatever is the parent object. In our case, it's the account. So whatever is the parent object, that will that will have extend its whatever the security settings it has, it will extend it to the child one. So in our case, test object is the child one and account is the parent one, right? So if we are creating a master detail relationship with account, then this test object child records will inherit the security settings of the parent, in our case account. So that is why it is by default checked. We don't have option of changing it. So these are all same, right? If you see here, all are same except for those two things. What are those? One is the so if somebody asks you what is the difference between master detail and lookup relationship, first one is lookup is loosely coupled. That means if parent is deleted, child is not deleted. But in master detail, it will get deleted. If you delete the parent record, the child will get deleted automatically. I want you to see it out. Okay? Do in your local log, create a master data relationship, delete one parent record and see whether the child record is deleted or not. Right? That is one difference. Second one is what? Second one is security. Right? So whatever security settings are there for the parent, that will get inherited by the child. Okay? So these are the two main differences. There are a couple of others, like there is a roll-up summary field and all that we will see when we are doing the um, doing the field types. Okay. Apart from that, there is another difference that in an object you can create a maximum of two master detail relationship, and for lookup the limit is 40 lookup relationship you can create. Okay. Yeah, this is about lookup and master. Slide should see what is there. So lookup relationship we understood. Master detail relationship also we understood. The master detail relationship is a strongly coupled relationship, meaning if parent is deleted, so are the child records. Master detail also allows the parent record to control child record attributes such as sharing and visibility. The child record inherits whichever security setting you choose for the parent record. This is what I was talking about, right? And single object can have maximum of two master detail relationship. Now after this comes many to many relationship. So master detail and lookup relationship, these two, both of these are one to many, right? One parent can have multiple records. If you have to create many to many, that means you have to create multiple lookup relationships on each of the object, right? Like on case, you have to create again a lookup relationship to associate with the asset, and on asset you will create a lookup relationship to associate it with case, right? That way you have to do. But do you think this is a practical solution? No, right? Because if we have to create a many-to-many relationship by creating a lookup for both the objects, that there we are first of all we are not utilizing the fields properly because there is a certain limit on the field creation as well, right? This many fields only we can create. So that is there. So what is the other alternate solution? The other alternate solution will be to create a junction object which will help in creating the many-to-many relationship. So for the other slides, right, I am thinking of not going it today because it's already 9 o'clock. Let's do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, what we will cover? We will cover all the other types: many-to-many relationship, self relationship, hierarchical relationship, and external relationship. Cross object formula field. These all we will cover. Roll up summary field we will cover. And then I will provide you the assignment. Today I will provide you 1 2 assignments, and for tomorrow maybe this one I can ask you to do. Here you have to create an object, you have to create a text field, email, phone, date. Yeah, so these are all we have covered. This is something which is for relationship, it is not there, but this all we have covered. And for the other one, third one, create a master detailed relationship with account object where account is master and custom contact is child. Custom contact is the field here. So this one will be your assignment for today. External data source, we will do it when we are doing it. Roll up summary also not fine. So this one I will provide you the assignment, and tomorrow we will cover all the remaining parts. Any questions till now? Whatever we have learned regarding global place, field dependencies, database object, apps, tabs, and in terms of relationship, lookup and master data. Any questions on this? I will share the notes, whatever we have discussed today. But if any question, you can let me know. Or else once you are doing the hands-on. So one thing remember, just understanding will not help in any coding platform, any part of not this is not coding as of now, but whatever you are learning new, right? If you are not doing a hands-on, that will not get embedded in your memory, right? So you have to do hands-on. You might not understand it first, but if you're doing the hands-on, right? Either you will get to know, okay, this is also there, this is also there, like that you will get to know. Otherwise, I am here to help you out with your doubts. But until and unless you do the hands-on, whatever I'm providing, it might not be sufficient. Okay? So please do the assignment, whatever I'm giving, and you are free to play around with the or what you have. Okay, if there is nothing else, no, we will stop here. And after that, I will ask my team to share you yesterday's note as well as today's one, whichever I will share. Okay. I will wait for 1 2 minutes to see if you have any queries. Otherwise, we will drop off. I will stop
Okay,
sharing
Ishan.
this.
Thank you. Thank you, Ishan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ankush. Thank you, everyone.
Ishan?
Bye. Yeah, Mitra.
Hey, hi Ishan.
Uh,
Actually, I think yesterday I did not get your email ID. Will you
oh,
be able to post it in
yeah.
the chat today? I have also asked in the chat.
Oh, sorry. I have noticed. Yeah, definitely.
No problem.
I have pinged.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I thought this was one of the participants' email ID. Okay, I did not know
Okay.
yours.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, the session was really very helpful, Ishan, and it was what to say? It was very informative. Thank you so much for doing
thanks,
the
Mitra.
session, Ishan.
Thank you. But just remember to do the assignment which I am providing. That will help you.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. And Ishan, the recording will be available for us?
Yes, definitely. I think so. I will ask my team to share it with you. Recording and the
Okay.
notes whichever I will share. Yesterday's note you haven't. Nobody has received, I believe. No. I will ask them
No,
to
we
be
did
shared.
not receive it.
I will ask them to be shared.
Okay, sure, sure. Thank you, Ishan. Have a lovely day.
You too. Thank you, Mitra.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.